So I thought I'd take a quick opportunity just to show you how the Safari buggy works and what it is. This isn't the first generation of this, anything but. In fact, let me just do a quick montage of previous versions. I've been building this for 10 years now. It started after I came back from safari in South Africa and thought it'd be great to go on safari in my own backyard or even in Scotland, but there isn't enough space and not enough big creatures. So I set out to build something I could drive around and experience a safari, or at least the visuals of a safari in real time. It's not intended as a recording mechanism so much as a shared experience, a bunch of people and a big projector screen. And hopefully these photos will show some of that. This is the latest generation. The biggest change since the previous one is I realized that wasn't a great mechanical idea and I'd been building everything on tank chassis. And so sets of Caterpillar tracks were okay, but it turns out real tanks have lots of suspension in them. Those tracks aren't flat, they go over things. And everything I was building was basically two wheels with a band around it, or two wheels with tank tracks around it, and it got stuck and it wasn't great. And so I realized the best way to travel slowly off-road was to use an actual sort of proper suspension chassis. And rather than anything else, I just bought an off-the-shelf miniature rock crawler. So I bought an FTX mini rock crawler because that was considered, fairly standard and the cheapest good quality, not sort of Chinese knockoff, the cheapest one that you could be confident you could buy another one in 2 or 3 years' time. Because everything has been sort of designed for manufacture. What if I want to build 10 or 100 of these for zoos or similar? So it's that plus 3D printing, basically. So I designed all the 3D printing myself. I'm just going to take this to bits. So there's a body, and then the body has an antenna on it. The general structure of this is there's a small camera at the front. That is a Pi Camera Module 2, no, Pi Camera Module 3 with the wide angle lens. Because of the depth of field issue, you need to be able to focus. So only the latest Raspberry Pi official ones have had that. Previously I was using Arducam. And then that's on a cable, so I've got the battery for the radio controlled car is here. There's a 1S tiny little battery like this, which is actually slightly problematic. We'll talk about that in a moment. And then inside here is a Raspberry Pi. Well, that's the controller board for the camera. So normally the camera has the sort of actual camera bit on this board, but I've taken it off and added it on another ribbon cable. And then this is a Raspberry Pi 02W. And the biggest challenge is getting like nice tiny little USB connections to go in it. It gets powered from a USB battery pack, which slides into the bottom. Again, slight downside to that, that's quite heavy. So that weighs 100 grams. It's 5,000 milliamp hours. And it's good because it runs the Raspberry Pi for a while. So the Pi is running off that battery and the buggy is running off this little battery, which you can swap out. And then this all kind of comes apart fairly easily. So it's basically 4 3D printed parts. There's a bit that goes onto the chassis, this little tray that contains the electronics, this little thing that holds it in place. So how does it work from a software perspective? Camera boots up, streams video over H.264 through wireless. So there's a wireless router, which I run off a battery pack as well. Streaming the video was one of the interesting challenges with this because I didn't want broken video. I wanted good quality at all times. And I found, one, there's two ways you can send computer data. One is a kind of fire and forget thing called UDP. So you send the data and if it doesn't arrive, you don't worry about it, which works for some kinds of video streaming because you care about it, just throw away stuff that's wrong. And the other is called TCP and that guarantees it gets there. Having been backwards and forwards on this, I decided that I definitely wanted the video to get there. Having corrupted files arriving wasn't helping anybody. So I went the TCP route, but then you can start to get sort of delays and backups and lots of latency so that the video is running, a few seconds behind the real world. And I didn't like that much either when I'm trying to drive or focus. So in the end, what it does is it streams video, but it keeps a track of how much is yet to be delivered. And if it finds there's a delay, it actually drops frames. And being a video signal, the way video works is sort of every half a second it sends the full image, and then in between that it sends sort of 29 or 15 part images. And the problem is if you lose the full image, the part images don't make any sense. If you lose part images, you get corruption. So what I've got it set up to do is basically if it gets behind, it drops part images and only sends full images after that until it catches up. So basically the too long didn't read version of that is the frame rate drops as the signal gets worse, but the quality stays the same. I did try various other things, motion JPEGs, etc., but it didn't work as well. There was lots of bandwidth usage. This works pretty nicely. So how do you view this? Well, I have an Android app that I can view it on with a pair of goggles. That's not really the idea, but that's handy when I'm out in the field. It just basically shows the same image on both eyes in here. Or you can read it from a laptop, so you can just connect with a laptop and view it, or a mini PC, or a Raspberry Pi. In the previous ones, I really counted on that Raspberry Pi because when I was building tanks and things like that, that's what controlled it. All the control was coming over the Wi-Fi connection as well. Now the control comes from a standard radio control that comes with the car, so the car control is completely separate to the video. The exception to that rule is this. So this is an M5 dial, so it's a little microcontroller controlled computer. So basically this runs one program that you write. It's got a screen, it's got a dial I can turn. And this does two things. It lets me turn recording on and off. So this also connects to the wireless network. And it sends a packet to the buggy that says turn the recording on and off. So as well as streaming video, I can record it in full quality on the machine. That way, if my frame rate's dropping, I at least get the good video. And then the other thing, and this is critical, is you have to be able to focus the camera. Because if you have a camera focused at sort of 5 centimeters away, the furthest it can focus is about 10 centimeters. Once it's 10 centimeters, it's about 20, and about 20 you can probably focus all the way to the horizon. But as you get closer, the amount that you can keep in focus changes. So the other thing this dial does is when you turn the dial, it sends data to this to say focus in or out. So we have a focus dial and a controller and a pair of goggles or projecting onto a big screen, a radio controlled car, and a camera that's streaming data. And then this all goes through, as I say, this travel router. All of which is great, but not perfect. And in the next video, I'm going to talk to you about the next generation of Safari Buggy and what I'm doing to clean all of this up. Most importantly, by the time you put the battery in here, this is pretty heavy, okay? All of this with the body and everything else is fairly heavy, and that's not great. It kind of left me on bump stops on the springs. I've printed little additional spacers on the springs. I've got stronger springs, but I think it's time to just upgrade the buggy. And so I'll be building the next generation of Safari Buggy in an upcoming video.